Okay, everybody. It's 60 minutes to lose. I'm back in some capacity here, and things have gone completely foobar in the very, very first attempt back here. This is Rastan Saga II, developed by Opera House, published by Sega. I played an entire hour of this game, and then uploaded it. I even made sure that my microphone was on, which it was. You can read this as you want. It's too fast to read out loud. I already found out the hard way. But for some reason, OBS had switched to a different device. That device being not my normal microphone. It being actually a microphone that doesn't exist. So there was no commentary, which has happened before, but never in this way. So that was unique. So I hated playing this game, by the way. Spoilers. I didn't enjoy it one bit. So I'm not gonna play it again. Instead, I'm going to be watching the video and attempting to leave post-commentary over it, just so that I don't have to play the game for 2 whole hours. Some games, I've done that with in the past. This one, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to, so I'm not going to. So what have we got here? Immediately, we have got Rastan Saga II. That's what it is. I have kind of a general rule of thumb to where if a game's sprites are too large, I typically tend to assume that the game is probably compensating for something. Like, it's the whole Sword of Sodan issue, right? Where the sprites were giant, they were impressive, and then the game itself was just actual rubbish. I had the internal conflict the entire time while playing this, while I was trying to decide, is this game rubbish or is this not rubbish? I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It all depends on what you yourself feel about it. And I didn't love it so much. If you love Rastan Saga II, that's absolutely fine. Here's me smashing this brick here, trying to see if it can be destroyed. I gave up eventually, as you can see. But yeah. But if you love the game, great. I'm happy for you. I didn't. So, now that we've got that spoiler out of the way here, it's just got, you know, all those arcade sensibilities that design the entire game to try and kill you and destroy you in many unique and terrible ways. There's me smacking around everything. In retrospect, I'm watching this and I'm like, what am I doing right now? I'm like, wait. It was my first time ever touching the game. I didn't know what was going on. This boss, very first boss, is a piece of garbage. I don't want to spoil too much, but I'll say that he was very, very difficult to figure out, and I'm kind of unsure if I ever did or not. So I eventually was like, okay, you know what? Let's just try to DPS race him. There we are, having a ferocious fight. Just me and this alien-esque thing. And there you go. I have opened a fire. Now I am determined to hold my ground at any cost. I have opened a fire. I'm not even sure what that means, but clearly the translators were going full force here. I always wonder how that happens. Like, I have heard stories in the industry about like the translators being based in the Western studio and like having to go through and do it all. But I'm like, is there ever an instance of where just like the same Eastern studio does the translation? There has to be, right? Or else how would it wind up being so janky? I had yet to find out that you could block upwards in this portion, so things are going to look a little bit messy here. These bats are the worst thing ever. I couldn't find a way to consistently hit them. And these turtles are obnoxious as well here. I remember I think it was a video I watched where one of the localizers for Xenogears, I believe it was Xenogears, was talking about the translation process and how they were literally just given like all of the raw code for the game, which just had scattered dialogue everywhere. But along with the dialogue were also just like, you know, code notes and a developer notation and whatnot. So they were like, okay, well, we gotta find out. Oh yeah, found it out again. Died twice immediately. I was real mad when that happened. And I was like, okay, how do I get out of here? That's how I get out. But yeah, so they had to go through, find out, okay, what here is supposed to be dialogue. We aborted mission up there. And what here is not. And then in what order does this go in? So they had to, like, trial and error figure out where it went in Xenogears. You know, a massive JRPG that spans 2 discs and has more dialogue than most books. It's like, I can't even imagine the kind of disaster that would be. But then you look at just like these little translations where it's just like nonsensical grammar into vocabulary and whatnot, and you're like, that had to have been completely in-house, right? They just had a bilingual guy who just did his best. Because I can't see otherwise if you were to give that to a Western studio and that's the best that they come up with. Oh, nice little death there. You use a continue. These rope swings were contentious at best. Couldn't always get on them properly. But what I'm getting at is if you translate and you're like a primary English speaker, yeah, maybe you won't get like the perfect gist of it, but surely you can at least come up with something that makes grammatical sense. I have opened a fire, or I am opening a fire, whatever it was he says. That just doesn't really make much sense, does it? I'm surprised that I didn't fall for that the first time dying. Oh, but I did fall for that one. Died right there. Got your nice insta-death pits. Survived that one. This I was worried about here, but check this out. Secret strats, you just walk right through. It's, you know, the jankiest possible way to present that. This boss here, I started off being a little, you know, not great, but it wound up being the easiest boss that I found. I kept trying to do this, like, stab under it thing. That's not the way. You're kind of getting an idea of what you have to do here, though. So you stab its head. I was already figuring that out, but just didn't quite have the rhythm down yet at this first point, which, you know, that's fine. It's your first time through a game. You're not going to be expected to know all of its secrets and its intricacies, or its boss patterns. I was just happy that I was able to find out this boss pattern, because it wound up being a pretty easily defeatable one. You wicked people! How did you like my assault? Oh, here come tough enemies. I guess that one doesn't not make sense. It's just, you know, disjointed. So here we are in stage 2, where things start to get really heinous. No, this is stage 3. The last one was stage 2. Yeah, stage 3. No, but it says level 2. There must be a level 0? I don't know, man. This dude was kind of annoying here. We are having a wonderful battle while things fall. The Claymore, it doesn't have as great defensive abilities as the Sword and Shield, but obviously it has much greater reach, so pick your poison, I suppose. These enemies here, these little, like, watery mud women, I don't even know what they're supposed to be, they were a pain. And this little section here, oh, you know what, I was gonna say I never figured out how to not take damage there, but now that I see I did land right on the corner there and didn't take damage, but then I landed wrong on the bottom, so okay. I don't think I ever really get that right through the entire course of this video. Spoilers, we do not beat this game. Just gonna let you know that right now. But we do get marginally better. That is a miracle right there, dodging that. I figured out pretty much immediately to not attack that while it's attacking you, because that's how the shield works. If you are attacking, it does not block, because you're no longer holding it out in front of you. This section sucks. with all of these on the floor and the ceiling. I never really figured that part out either. Just, I don't know, something in my brain. Ooh, died on the dragon's midsection, or lizard dragon thing, whatever you want to call it. Doing an upward stab there just results in you getting hurt. Same right there. There's a lot of what feel. Oh man, and again right there, that's so nasty, man. It's a lot of what just feels like unconquerable sections here. It's the arcade roots, you know. Oh, dead again, and that's the first game over there. Ran out of all the continues, which I gotta tell you, that didn't feel good. But anyway, yes, we are back. I know I had said in the comments section in previous video, I've just been in the seasonal funk lately. I know it happens to a lot of people. I'm not alone in it, so I'm not gonna make it this big woe is me story. By all means, everything in my life is going objectively well. Like, there's not much that I can really complain about. It's just, you know, when the snow falls, something just activates wrong in your brain there, and like no matter what you do, you just kind of feel miserable. This is kind of where I've been at a little bit. Just, I'll have entire days where I'm just like, for no reason, I just feel awful, and it happens. But back when just to give a nice little heroic metaphor that I am not even close to reaching, but I think it's a fantastic story, so I'm going to tell it anyway. Back when Freddie Mercury was on his deathbed, very, very sick due to his AIDS, they had wrapped up, or had come close to wrapping up, the recording of, I believe it was their Innuendo album, I believe. And they had not yet had the vocals laid down for the song "The Show Must Go On." Brian May had, you know, brought this news to Freddie Mercury, and he'd said, like, hey, you know, we still don't have the vocals down for this song. It's unfortunate that you're not feeling up to it. I mean, if there's a day where you're feeling okay, it would be great to have it done. And Freddie Mercury, again, in his deathbed, like, sick as a dog, incapable of much, sat up, said, "I'll fucking do it, darling," and then laid down the vocals right then and there. They brought in a microphone, they brought in everything that was needed, and he sang "The Show Must Go On" as we hear it in the recording right now. What a fitting song for that. Now, obviously, I am not dying of AIDS, so I am not going to even attempt to pretend that my predicament is similar. However, it is an inspirational little story to where when you want to give up on something, yeah, this boss, screw this boss. Figuring him out was a nightmare. I thought I was close, and then ooh, he stabbed me, and then there goes my claymore. But yes, it's a good story to keep in the back of your mind when you want to give up on something. It's like, hey, can make it happen here. I tried to do a defensive battle with this guy here, and this was when I started to get the feeling that there was a little bit of input reading going on in this game. Like, I felt like he's reading when you're hitting attack, and then he's using that as an opening. It's definitely possible. I know there are games that do input reading. I think Elden Ring does a little bit of it. Shout out to Elden Ring, Game of the Year 2022 at the Game Awards. The claws, yes! The claws, great weapon. I had not at the moment realized that it was a great weapon though, so I just kind of shuffled around with them, not knowing what I was doing. And I think this is where I learned that I can guard upwards. I don't know if I started leveraging it properly or not here. I'm gonna get confused by these turtle things here a little bit. Not too badly, I suppose. Yep. And that's where I'm like, ooh, wait, guard up, block the blocks. Figure it out. And yeah, so it's just kind of how it goes, you know. It's an arcade game. It's all about just gradual learning things. It looks more fun than it is. I was really losing my patience with this game pretty early on, and you know, like I said, it's that giant sprite red flag. A truly great game doesn't have to flaunt its massive sprites. It's like, hey, this is you. You are represented by a single pixel. Now have fun. It's called Adventure. Look it up. No, you had to have been at least 4 pixels in Adventure. There we go. I was just kind of going through and, you know, trying to route the game. That's the most important thing about arcade games is the routing, most definitely. I've been watching a YouTuber. Highly recommend him if any of you have not watched Shmup Junkie. Fantastic. Just a very enthusiastic content creator. Puts forth an immense amount of effort in his videos. Not all of his jokes always land, but I don't really care. He's done reviews of literally every Genesis/Mega Drive shooter. He's covered all the PC Engine shooters, all Konami's shooters. The dude loves his shoot 'em ups. And I was watching him, and he did a series on like how to get better at shoot 'em ups. And bit the bullet there. I do get better at this fight in later attempts, as you'll see. But that was one of the big tips, was route it all. Don't worry about like figuring everything out reflexively. You're gonna die many times playing a shmup, but use every death as a learning mechanism. Learn, hey, it doesn't work to be there in that part of the screen at that time in the game. And that can really be applied to most retro games, honestly. It's like, hey, it's the whole notion of, if this is too difficult to dodge, then don't try to dodge it, just don't be there when it happens. That can apply to Rastan Saga as well. There were some sections that I certainly started to feel like I got down a little bit better, and there were some that I didn't so much. Either way, it's a much more relaxing thing to talk about the game and watch myself play it than it was to actually play it. I'm not going to make a habit of this format because, you know, this takes up 2 hours of my time instead of 1 hour of my time, but hopefully this works okay with the post commentary. Look at me putting on a little style on the enemies here. Yep, got damaged there as I tend to do, as I usually do. And all of my cats are beginning to encircle me. I'm feeling trapped here in the real world. Oh no. Here's a nice little death for you there. It'll keep happening. This section took me a while to figure out as well. The solution is actually quite simple, just I was too impatient to figure it out. We'll figure it out later though. That's just really poor fight right there. Again, it's the kind of thing, I'm watching myself do this part in retrospect, and I'm like, man, you were garbage right there. But I've only been playing for what? A few minutes? It's so easy to, you know kind of what you're doing in a game, and then look at a rank amateur and be like, what are you thinking? Ooh, that was bad there. That was a nasty jump, nasty movement. Okay. I'm just observing this, seeing how do I handle this. The answer is not particularly well, but I'm sure I have worse attempts. Take damage to that guy again. I think you gotta probably move further to the left and then jump up. You know, so you don't jump directly into his body. Ooh, that's when I found out that lava insta-kills you, which, you know, probably could have figured that out on my own without having to die. This section, not the worst section. A little vicious. Nice little screen clear there with a bunch of health pickups. Just don't fall into that little pit there, my guy. astonishing that I managed to actually grab that vine, or that rope, whatever you want to call it. And this is a new boss. We made it further this try. Quite a bit further. This dude I also didn't really properly figure out. The one thing I figured out is that you can kind of get him stuck slashing in one direction like that. What I couldn't find out is how to get him slashing there without taking damage, because you gotta jump through him. Anyway, it's a really good... Oh, I would rather run away. But no, timidness does not conquer. Perfect advice. But yeah, I never really figured out how to get to the other side of him there. So I'm like, well, I guess you gotta take some guaranteed damage. But there has to be a way to make it not guaranteed, right? Anyway, welcome to the forests. I love that animation of him reaching up and swiping upwards like that. It's so good. It's just goofy. Look at that. Our claws beat the claws of that giant devil thing. Those giant devil things suck if you don't have the claws, as we will learn later. I love the forearm skeletons. There are some cool monster designs in this game. I don't hate the monster designs. That's all good. The presentation there is fine. Ooh. Lose the claws. Bad news for me. See, these guys kind of suck a lot to fight without the claws. Can't lie, the tiled background there could have probably been a little more creative. That really do just be the same tree over and over on top of itself repeatedly. We're dead. Anyway, I probably needed another failed episode like this with a terrible, terrible tech problem that I was too dumb to check beforehand. Keeps me on my toes, right? Which means I'm going to do it like 70 times more in the course of my life. Couldn't have happened with like Super Mario Brothers 3 where I had a ball playing it and wanted to play more. No, had to happen with Rastan Saga II. Joink. Anyway, I appreciate every single one of you who has had patience for me in these dire times. This jump, this murked me hard. Check this out. Yoink. Game over! That was the end of that attempt. I was pretty pissed off when that happened. I was not pleased. I got pretty mad at video games for a moment there. But it's okay. The music, nearly okay. I don't think I ever quite found out what this did. I jumped down here to see if it would, like, destroy the enemies, but it didn't. So I don't know what the point of those little orbitals are. That's when I found out that you can, in fact, not kill that thing in one downward stab, but rather you take damage as well as them taking damage. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. All sarcasm intended. Man, that was poorly played. Poorly played. But who doesn't poorly play it every now and then, you know? Oof. And I just walked directly into it. It's those moments of frustration where, you know, logic does not prevail. The part of your brain that tries to work it out and be like, alright, let's see if we can fix this. That doesn't take over. No, the primitive monkey part of your brain that says, keep pressing buttons until something works, that's the part that takes over. And that's, you know, maybe that's like galaxy brain level design from an arcade design maker. It's like, ooh, as the player gets more frustrated, they want to beat the game, but they'll be less able to because they're not thinking clearly, and therefore we make more money. It could happen. That could very well be the case. Ooh, that's also pretty bad right there. Big ol' stabola. Anywho, what's been going on in all your lives? Enjoying the winter as much as I am? Ugh. It's been fun. It's been a fairly mild winter. We had a pretty big storm initially, but it hasn't snowed much since. Just a little bit here and there, but nothing that's stuck too much. Worst boss in the game again. Worst boss in the game, and I didn't even beat the game. Who knows how much worse we could have had to fight. I was really hoping that I could figure something out with this guy here. It's like I said earlier, you know, you gotta experiment. You gotta accept that you're gonna die and just try to, you know, figure it out. I think I see a pattern now, though. Like, I think he's guaranteed to stab twice, and then after that second stab, you might be safe to do it. Or to attack him. So coax one stab out of him, wait for the second stab, and then attack him. I think that's what it is. Just, again, I was too caught up in the moment of being upset to figure that out. I was not playing by the game's rules anymore. I was like, make it stop. If I were to go back to it, though, perhaps I would be able to figure that out now. If I were playing it live again, probably not. Anyway, I died a lot to that guy there. That was a really, really bad showing. I have opened a fire once again. Yes, you have, man. You have sure opened a fire. Oof. Anywho. Just been, you know, trying to squeeze enjoyment out of life where I can find it. It's one of the only ways to really cope with seasonal depression. It's like try to keep occupied. I saw Amon Amarth last week, or just this previous week actually. I think on Tuesday. Saw them with Cattle Decapitation, Obituary, and Carcass. I'd probably talked about that show in earlier episodes, but that finally happened. Cattle Decapitation was exceptional. They only played stuff from their newest album, which I kind of figured they probably would, but it's a fine album, so I wasn't too upset. Obituary I've seen before. They're always good. They didn't play like any old stuff, and that really rubbed some people in the crowd the wrong way, but I was like, whatever. It's still fun. I've seen them once before anyway. No skin off my back. And then Carcass, I felt bad because like I was really excited for Carcass, and they played great. They sounded great. But I was just like, I was so tired and down at the time where I was like, I just wish I was home right now. And I felt awful about that because I was like, dang, I was really looking forward to Carcass ripping it up, and they're here in front of me, and I'm just not on the same level. I'm just not there mentally and emotionally. And then the irony was that Amon Amarth, the band that I was the most lukewarm on, wound up pulling me right out of that funk because they were just so darn fun. They had Vikings literally having battles with swords and shields on stage. The entire crowd sat down on the ground and started rowing during a song called Put Your Back into the Oar. They had Loki come out and just kind of exist. He pulled out Mjolnir in the encore and fought a giant rubber dragon or something like that. It was all very campy, but super fun. So, you know, they made a believer out of me. Their stage set was fun. Their drummer sat atop a giant Viking helmet and drummed away. The eyes had screens in them. Sometimes it was just fire. Sometimes they were actual eyes looking out and gazing at the crowd. It was fun. And then this week, on Wednesday, I think already, going to a much smaller scale show. If anybody wants a newer death metal recommendations, I'm seeing Undeath, 200 Stab Wounds, Phobophilic, and not death metal, but the thrash metal band Enforced. There will not be giant helmets. Suffice to say, that'll be a much smaller thing. My goodness, hold on a second. My cat is too dumb to figure out that he can go around through the hole in the litter room to get upstairs, so he's scratching on the door for me to let him out. Well, give me just a second here. Close, please. Mickey, why are you dumb? Why can't you figure it out? Oh, goodness. Sorry about that. He's not always the brightest. Enjoy my little VLC progress bar down there popping up as my mouse gets nudged. Yeah, this is the most scuffed and janky instance of 60 Minutes to Lose that there's been. Well, no, that's not true. There was that one episode I did, I don't remember what game, where it took my webcam mic, and I was like, I'm not re-recording it. That was a long time ago. That one was pretty bad. But, you know, sometimes you just learn to take an L. But yes, I hope I'm a little more lively for that Undeath and 200 Stab Wounds show. Both great bands that deserve my energy. Whether I'm able to provide it or not, I don't know. Phobophilic is also great too. So is Enforced. It's just a bunch of great metal bands. Like, anybody who tries to say garbage like, ooh, metal music is dead. It's like, I just straight up, I think you don't like metal music. Because nobody who enjoys it and pays attention to it and interfaces with it would believe that it's dead. Given all the outstanding artists that exist right now and put out content. Goodness! What? You Come on! Come on! Jeez. We just recently put in a hole by the stairway that gets the cats into the litter room in our basement, which is connected to the room I'm in right now. Like, you can go through the hole and then come right into this room if you want. But the cats don't always connect the dots that they can go through that hole. Like, they'll come downstairs, my door will be shut, they'll come through the hole and they'll come into my room, and then they'll turn right around and scratch at the door and be like, hey, I can't get out. It's like, you can just retrace your steps and you will find a way out, I promise you. But they're cats and they're not brilliant. Anyway, here we are. Level 3 again. Even though it's kind of level 4, but kind of level 3. I don't know. Anyway, if you're a viewer and you don't care for extreme metal music at all, I'm just gonna have to apologize to you because I love it and I love to talk about it. It's just one of those things that makes life sweeter for me, honestly. I listen to so much of it and I find so much of it that's new or new to me. It's just something exciting every day. Even if it kind of sucks sometimes. Obviously, there is such thing as bad death metal and bad black metal. It happens. It exists. Well, sometimes there's kind of a dichotomy in metal music between like your diehards and your more casual fans. Your casual fans will listen to your much more like mainstream and accessible metal acts, like say Slipknot is a common one. And then the diehards will just be like, yeah, okay, whatever. We don't really care. And then they're like, oh, come on, I can like Slipknot, they're metal too. And then they're like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's all equal. It doesn't mean you have to like all of it. Or just because it's metal doesn't mean everyone's gonna like it. People don't like metal music just because it's metal music. Like metal music because there are some kick-ass bands. And me, I don't even mind Slipknot. You know, they were big into getting me into heavier music as a whole. This is where I actually make it past this jump. Check this out here. Let's just talk about the game for a brief second. Ooh, look at that. Beautiful. Oh, and then I get stabbed. And then this is tragic right here. I try to go through. I'm nervous the entire time. There's my claw blocking it. And then this is awful. Look at that. Game over. Blind jump for a platform that wasn't even up. Or that wasn't even accessible. That was, I think, like the turning point for me where I was like, screw this game. I was not about that. Oh, this is a power-up that I hadn't seen. The fireball power-up. Good God, cat. I'm sorry that this progress bar keeps coming up. The cats are going absolutely nuts. See, I just let them all upstairs through the door, and then they all just came right back through the hole. Now I'm just imagining that it's only going to be a matter of time until they forget the hole exists again. Absolute idiots. Anywho, yeah, the fireball power-up. It's cool. Nice, some nice little range for you here. Goodness, cat. It's so, for some reason, every Sunday night, or at around this time, my youngest cat goes into the corner of my room behind my CRT, reaches up in the corner and starts whining as if his life depends on it. Just the most desperate whines. I don't know if they came through the mic or not when he just did that, but he's, it's like clockwork every time. I wanted to see if this would like blow that up or something. Maybe that block is in fact destructible and I just didn't have the patience to blow it up. We'll never know. Ooh, blew up all the blocks. Pretty important there. Anyway, there's so much to talk about, you know? God, grief cat. Good lord. He's... What's wrong? You don't have to go into that corner and scream at the corner of the wall. It accomplishes nothing. Maybe it does accomplish something and his motives are simply beyond my understanding. Perhaps there's some ritualistic endeavor to it. Anyway, check this out. We don't have the fireball power-up anymore. I was very sad to have learned this. This is where I was trying desperately to find any kind of tactic that would work. Doing the downward slash, and lo and behold, it is possible to get a quick little slash in and damage him without you yourself taking damage. It's just real specific and finicky. I hate this boss so much. Damage him again. If only I had had the claws at this point, he would have gone down pretty quickly. But I didn't. I had the short sword, the weakest weapon in the game. It happens. Of course it happens when it's the default weapon. Look, just like, look at how many hits this dude's taking. And then I land just wrong, and at that point, I was... all woe is me. And then I took damage there again, so this is the point where I realized just how finicky this whole process was, where I'm like, I'm taking damage again, what the hell? Again, had not at this point realized that he stabs twice and you can probably leverage that. I had thought that I was doing so well, and then I died twice during the fight, so then I was like, alright, screw this, we're just gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Round 1 clear, yep. Round 1 clear, and so off we go to level 1. And yet round 2. That does not make a lick of sense. That is inconsistent, my friends. My friends at Taito. Yeah. My throat's getting a little sore. I've been talking up a storm here, you know? I haven't had moments of gameplay to focus on and stop talking, which normally happens, so I've just been non-stop this whole time here, trying to make up for lost time, you know, the past 2 weeks of things I haven't talked about. What else has happened? Finished off all the Roger Moore James Bond movies. Boy, some of those got real stupid. Best one was definitely Live and Let Die, although Moonraker was quite good as well. In the way that a Roger Moore Bond movie can be good. And then before I watched the 2 Timothy Dalton Bond movies, I've been watching the present John Wick movies, and those are a lot of fun. I see some people, they're like, ooh, that's a bad death right there. I see some people get like really critical about the John Wick movies, and it's like, it's so cheesy. I'm like, dude, yeah, it's great. Come on. Or they're like, all the action is just him shooting people. It's like, yeah. Yes, you're saying all of this as if it's a bad thing. You have approach to the point, though. I don't know, man. It's so funny because I am such a music snob. Like I am what? Oh, that was disgusting. Goodness sake, cat. I am what the casuals would refer to as a metal elitist. Perhaps, but you know what? It's fun to be elite. It's fun to partake in the finest fruits. But then when it comes to movies, and when people are like being super like elitist about movies, I'm like, shut the fuck up, no one cares. I don't know, man. I like the snappy, kinetic action movies. I like Jackass. Who doesn't like Jackass, though? Come on. Top Shelf Entertainment. This is where I really started popping off on this fight. Check this out. The claws absolutely make mincemeat of that enemy. Look at that. Just took a few jumps and we were done. It's beautiful. Oh, man. I'm like in this halfway zone right now where watching this is giving me vicious memories of having to play it, but also it feels very calming and cathartic that I just get to watch it. Very nice of the game to take away my claws and then give them right back to me. I was pretty happy about that, I remember. You know, all of the original recording for this was, you know, just some hours ago today. And then when I learned that the commentary wasn't present, I was like, screw it, I'll do it later. I was almost going to save it for tomorrow, but I was like, no. You'll be real angry with yourself if you save this for tomorrow. Don't do that. Is this where I figured this section out? Yes, this is where I figured this out, where I was like, aha, you can simply let him come by and then pass the other direction. And then have yourself a little bout of fisticuffs with the dragon lizard thing. I don't remember why I paused here, but I did. Ah, yes, I paused because I believe that was where my wife Tara was going to her mom's house, so I was seeing her off. I'm just trying to remember all these moments. Oops, doxed. Now you know her first name and nothing else. Oh no! Now my life's gonna be ruined by some weirdo. Everything will be fine. But yeah, you know, that's really all I can say is, you know, just trying to keep occupied, trying to keep happy. My job might suck in the near future. I had a complete overhaul in terms of who I'm reporting to. My duties haven't changed yet, but they might, and I really don't want them to change. So there's a lot of stress about that that's laying on me, and that certainly hasn't helped me these past couple weeks. That probably negatively contributed, and part of the reason why I peaced out for a while here. Still, nobody really knows what's going on with that, so I'm like, well, fantastic, great. It's just kind of an unknown in a place that I really would not like to have an unknown. You know, like, yeah, you like to know what your job holds in store for you when you've been in your position for 6 years. I'm past the point of... Oh, that was nasty. That was nasty. I must have, like, tried to press jump and it just didn't register or something. Can't think of what else would have happened there. It sounds so much like the Sonic coin pickup noise. Anyway, so this is what it's like watching the same set of levels over and over. Centaur buddy? Centaur bro? What do we got going on this time? Okay, he kills me. Yep. On brand. Me desperately trying to figure out what's going on. He slashes like 5 times. I think I really didn't put enough consideration into the amount of times that the enemies will slash at you. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, but how do you leverage that? I don't know. I'm sitting here like with hindsight trying to be my guide, trying to strategize these bosses while I'm not even fighting them. Just because these ones confounded me so. Yeah! Claws, baby! I think this was near where I really started to... Oh yeah, this is where I was really starting to appreciate that upwards... that upward slash animation or sprite. I was like, that's the thing of beauty right there. Raising both fists into the air triumphantly. I had to find my fun where I could get it. Because I wasn't finding it anywhere else. Not in the gameplay. And again, I'm sure that this game has its fans. Almost certain. I know a lot of people liked the original Rastan either, but I didn't particularly care for it. The Master System one. Feels like ages ago where we played that. But it was better than this, probably. Probably. It was better than this. No need to add the probably. Despite what I said about metal snobbery, I did actually buy a single 2-night ticket to the giant Metallica tour in 2024. It's coming to Minneapolis, so in 2 years I'll get to make use of that ticket. It's kind of a neat gimmick for a tour. They're playing 2 nights at every date. 1 ticket buys you entry for both nights, and they will repeat no songs through the 2 nights. So you go the first night, you'll get a unique set list. You go the second night, and they'll play songs that they didn't play the previous night. And I'm like, alright, that's cool. That was what finally made me decide to pull that trigger. I'm like, Metallica, they've played here before many, many times, you know. Playing at US Bank Stadium, home of the Vikings. But the notion of getting 2 shows for the price of 1, that was pretty enticing to me. I bought 1 nosebleed, so it's probably not going to sound great, but whatever. It'll be cool to be there. And it came out to like $130 after fees, which I was like, that's like $66 a night. It's not awful. Oh, this horrendous section again. There's me trying to see if I can figure it out a little bit more. Ooh, get stabbed again. Nasty. But here, I found the top path, which helped a lot. I tried desperately to see if I could kill this monkey gremlin type dude from here, but the claws, alas, were simply too... Oh! Or were they? They were not too short. The only downside about that 5-finger... No, 5-finger... But I'm approaching a point with that. Oh, nasty game over there. We go further and then we game over. Nasty part about that tour is some of the openers are kind of hot garbage. Like, it's 2 different sets of openers for each night. The first night is Mammoth WVH, that's Wolfgang Van Halen's band, which I honestly could not care less about. I do not care about Van Halen's son's band. The music he makes is just like, it exists and that's it. And then the other opener for night 1 is the Pantera reunion, which I am... I shit talk it so much because, like, it's literally a cash grab. Dimebag Darrell is dead. He's been dead for years. The drummer, what's his name? Vinnie Paul. He's dead. Been dead for years. And they were the only founding members. Like, Phil Anselmo and the bass player, they were not founding members of Pantera. Now, yes, they were members during their most relevant years, that's true. But it's like, Phil's been playing Pantera songs with his own band for all these years now. You've been able to hear Pantera songs live with Phil singing them, and that's basically all this is hey, it's Pantera songs, and Phil will be there, he's singing them. They got Zakk Wylde playing guitar, which I've heard mixed reactions about. Some people are like, oh yeah, he did it great. Some other people are like, he changed the solos up too much. I don't know, we'll find out. But yeah, so I kind of... Oh, by the way, what we have right now in the actual game, this is the Fireball power-up mixed with the claws. You get this nice little area of effect burst. It's very nice. But then it goes away for this fight. I still couldn't figure this fight out, by the way. Or, no, wait. I had the claws, which meant he got melted. I just don't know why it never spawned the claws earlier. Anyway, yes, I am of one mind that the Pantera reunion is not a true reunion and is purely a cash grab, but at the same time, I'm also kind of excited to see it anyway, just because. I'm like, well, if you're gonna be there, I'll watch you. But then night 2, things really take a nosedive. It's like Ice Nine kills some generic metalcore band. And then Five Finger Death Punch, who is genuinely one of the absolute worst bands on the planet. And I can say that with authority. I have listened to every single album that they've put out. I listened to them actively. I didn't quite take notes or anything, but I was like, okay, I'm hearing all these songs. And they genuinely just get worse. Like, their first few albums, I was like, wow, this is all really corny garbage. But that shocked me right there. That little spider thing coming out, like, I had seen them, like, right there, like, sticking out of the road, but I don't know what caused it to escape like that. That was really weird when that happened. But yes, Five Finger Death Punch, terrible, terrible, terrible band. Music to dodge your child support payments to, is really what it is. That section right there sucked too. I got styled on there frequently. Oh, ouch. But yeah, so that kind of sucks that the openers aren't great. I mean, yes, Pantera is a huge name, and there are probably people who are once they release one-day tickets, which they've said they're going to, those are probably going to sell way quicker than the Night 2 ones, just because people are going to want to see Pantera. But again, is it Pantera? Is it? I don't even love Pantera, really. I don't know. It'll just be such a novelty to be able to technically say I knocked them off the list after they haven't been a band. Because, you know, they've all been dead. Jeez. Look at me, just walking right through that like a Chad. I'm not letting it bother me at all. I think I actually make this fight with 1 bar of life. I believe that I knock this out without dying. And crucially, without using a continue. See, this fight's really easy once you figure it out. Well, I'm sure they're all really easy once you figure them out, but that one was just easy to figure out. But yeah, I got that. Didn't take a single hit, and then full heal. A beautiful thing. So yes, I have mixed feelings on that entire Metallica tour. And a lot of that will also hinge on, you know, how good the new album is going to be, which I'm putting in my early best as saying not great, because they haven't put out a great album since 1988. Yes, that's right. I'm saying that the Black Album was not a great album, and I'll stand by that. Load and Reload were terrible albums. Death Magnetic was decent, but was a production disaster. Saint Anger was one of the worst of all times. And Hardwired to Self-Destruct was about as forgettable as they come. So those are my Metallica takes there. It's honestly insane for like how much publicity the big four of thrash get: Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, and Slayer. There are so many other thrash bands that are like arguably better than like any of them, honestly. Like Exodus is fantastic. Those early Sepultura albums are outstanding. Morbid Saint, they only had one album, but it was a great album. Coroner, absolutely top shelf. Artillery had great stuff. There was so many great thrash bands. The history books just wouldn't have you know of them. Yeah, that's like the worst I ever did, that hallway right there. And that's saying something, because I never really handled it with any real grace. It's really just a game where you take damage a lot. Oh, look at that, I figured it out. The little tiny hop up there, and then you don't take damage. Oof. Had I jumped quicker, I could have avoided a hit there. Probably. Got my foot snagged there. Feels bad, man. Oh. This was the point in the game where I was really losing my patience with the bats. I was like, these assholes are impenetrable. They must be stopped. Get your nice little sonic ring health. Ooh, narrowly dodged that molten rock there by probably pure chance. Can we beat the mighty centaur man again? Yes, we have another continue. Beautiful, good news. Would have been great if I didn't have to use that continue there. He would indeed rather run away. You know, that was the point in the game where I was really starting to sympathize with our good man Rastan. At least I assume that's the name of the character. I was like, yeah, I'd love to run away right about now too. Run away from this game, run away from the pain. Oh man. Anyway, what else has happened? Let's get back on the topic of video games. The Game Awards. I know not all of you pay attention to modern video games, but I'm gonna talk about them anyway because I love video games. From any year. Stuff that's got me real excited. Death Stranding 2. The first one was an experimental masterpiece. A lot of people insist that the game was nonsense and that nothing made sense and it was too experimental for its own good. I disagree with every single person who had that take. I think the game had fantastic ideas that were well implemented and all came together to create a genuinely fun game. I highly look forward to a sequel. Armored Core 6. Absolutely huge news. By the time it comes out, it'll be the first Armored Core game in 10 years. Possibly over 10 years. It'll be the first Armored Core game that has ever come out on on PC. So that's big. I mean, yeah, you can emulate like pretty much all of them now, but as an official PC release, this has never happened before. that felt bad right there. But fortunately, it respawned us back up at the top there. We got Hades 2. Hades 1. Absolute masterclass of a game. I loved it. You rarely see a roguelike game that has good narrative. It not only had good narrative, but some of the best narrative that I have seen like in a game. That game gripped me. Check this out though. Watch this. It's a boss we've never seen, which means that we're nearing the end and I won't get to talk anymore. The other game that had me excited was Judas, the upcoming game by Ken Levine, the director and writer for Bioshock. Looks like Bioshock in space. Anyway, this dude, he seemed like a nightmare. Even if you tried to duck his attacks, you got hit by them. And that was where time ran up. And I was like, yep, screw this guy. But it stands to reason, we did, in fact, see the game... Well, we saw improvements each time that we played it. We got a little bit further each time, culminating in reaching the round 4 boss. So we did improve. We did get better. I just, I didn't love it. I didn't love playing the game. I had a disastrous time with it, and it sullied my mood. I was very much looking forward to playing something a little more, how do we say, fun after that, which I did. I went right back and played a little more of the new Battlefield, which I've been enjoying a lot, despite a lot of people not enjoying. And then I played a little bit of Armored Core 1 because I am so excited for Armored Core 6. I was like, oh man, I gotta hop back on this train. Yeah, lots of stuff to be excited for. I just, gotta remind myself of that. Be excited for things. It's so easy to get lost in the moment. There are times where sometimes your brain just, it negates any positive things that you can think of, and sometimes you almost feel like you have no choice but to succumb to it. It happens to everyone. It happens to me. It'll happen to you. It sucks. But, we're all in it together. We're all on the same planet. Some people, they don't act like it. Some people are very selfish about it, but not here. We prop each other up here. So, as always, thank you so much for watching. I know it's been a bit of an unorthodox episode, but I hope it's been invigorating nonetheless, despite the fact that we barely talked about the game because I didn't like it. We're doing it on my terms. The next game on the list for the Genesis, before I forget to mention that, is Saga, which I can only hope is going to be better than this. It almost has to be, right? I don't know much about it, but we'll find out together. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your patience with me, and I will catch you next time.